Well, yes, welcome everyone to GeoHug. So before we kick off today's session, I just want to take this time to acknowledge the traditional lands which we're all coming from today. I'm here on the beautiful lands of the Gadigal, of the people of the Aurora Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to the elders past, present and future. And yes, I am super excited about this week's guest. I first came across Alp Bora from an awesome TED Talk that he did recently. And he's passionate about making mining greener and more attractive for new generations. So it is going to be amazing to hear from him today about the sustainability culture in the mining industry. So I hope you all enjoy it. Please use the chat. We'll open up the floor for discussion at the end. And yes, thank you so much for joining. I'm really grateful to have you here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Jessica, for the introduction. My name is Alp Bora. I am originally from Turkey, hence the accent. Actually, the English is my third language. I learned the French first, then Turkish, hence this mix of accents. I'm a mechanical engineer by education. I graduated from McGill in Montreal. I initially went to school to become an aerospace engineer. Then finished the third year, fourth year, still can't get an internship, can't get a job. I ended up in a nickel refinery in Sudbury, Ontario, which is the nickel capital of Canada. It was my first internship, and it was love at first sight. Honestly, it's like huge equipment. We had these vessels full of molten metal. I said, wow, this is like a scene from right out of Star Wars. And I was hooked. Fast for 10 years, I've been in the industry now over a decade. In 2021, I launched my own firm. It's a boutique consulting business specialized in operational excellence, where we advise management on how to optimize operations, increase production, and of course, reduce cost. So I usually come in at the commissioning phase or right after. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the mining industry, and I'll talk to you about the sustainability and how to make sustainable mining a reality. Now, full disclosure, and I don't see anybody's face, so just please, if there's anybody raise their hands, please stop me. Or at the 30-minute mark, otherwise I may speak for another 2 hours. Full disclosure, I usually give this talk at the universities. The young professionals, try to bring them in the mining industry. So I made a couple of changes based on this audience. On some points, I know I will be preaching to the choir. Nevertheless, some of this message, some of these notes, I think they are worthwhile sharing and repeating again and again. All right. Sustainability culture in mining. Before I go further, I just want to clarify the term. When I say mining throughout the presentation, I'm not just talking about the exploitation, not just digging a hole in the ground phase. I'm talking about the full value chain. So that's mine to mill, to smelting, refinery, all the way to ports. So I started my business in 2021. I started traveling quite a lot in North America, in US, Canada. Right now I'm in Chicago. My hometown is Halifax in Canada. I've been also traveling quite a lot in Africa as well, Gabon, Madagascar, working on different mining projects. During my travels, I've noticed a gap in communication between the mining and everybody else, general public. In mining, we have a purpose. We provide the raw materials to build the world as we know. At least that's my definition. And most of the industry, we know what we do, why we do, and how we do it, and why it matters, right? In the social media, in the conferences, podcasts, I hear this. Good. But then as soon as we get outside of the mining bubble, we face communities who are strongly opposed to industry, or we face individuals who absolutely have no interest nor awareness of the industry of mining. So I decided that my mission was going to be close the gap between the mining and the general public, share the story and the importance of mining, and hopefully close this gap and improve the perception of the industry. All right, so let's get started. In the last 5 years, we've seen a shift in auto manufacturers' approach to raw materials. Last year alone, I was involved in a few due diligence analysis from auto manufacturers to invest in mining companies. Ford's, GM's, Tesla, and other auto manufacturers, they are more and more interested in mining companies to secure their supply chain. Last week alone, GM made an announcement for a large investment for a lithium mine in US. And this interest is especially around the battery metals for electric vehicles. And of course, this comes as a reaction to an ever-increasing demand in electric vehicles, right? Last year, the global car sales, 10% of global car sales were electric. So based on my friend Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, EV sales officially hit the tipping point. So far, the trend follows the same curve as the other successful technologies, smartphones, laptops, LED light bulbs. Basically, you buy an electric vehicle because you saw your neighbor installing a charging station. A couple others do the same. Suddenly, everyone has a new shiny Tesla in their driveway. And this trend is encouraged by our politicians. Now, I put the US and the Canadian government, the Prime Minister and President's tweets here. We are encouraged for this. The trend is that go electric. The commitment from these two government is that by 2035, all new car sales will be electric. And we are told that this is going to help to save the environment. So the question I ask usually to at universities and the young professionals is that how clean do we think an electric car really is? Right? I mean, when you compare a regular internal combustion engine to an EV, sure, we'll argue all day long that electric vehicle is more environmentally friendly because it has no direct carbon emissions. But we also know that the environmental impact is significantly influenced by how you charge this vehicle. CO2 can be emitted during the power generation at the grids, right? Then, of course, there are the raw material requirements for these electric vehicles. Aside from the steel and aluminum used in the frame of the car, an electric vehicle uses 6 times more metals and minerals than a regular car. Cobalt, nickel, manganese, copper. That's just more material that needs to be mined and processed. And very unfortunately, this renewable energy technologies share the same story. Based on the recent study by Simon Michaud, and I put the link below here, it's a great reading material if you're interested by the subject, long but very interesting. To fully offset the fossil fuel power generation by renewable wind turbines and solar panels, the raw material requirements is monumental. Now, I do believe that the future of transportation and power generation involves us moving away from the fossil fuels, right? Don't get me wrong on this. And as much as we love silver bullets to some of our existential questions, this push for EVs, this push for solar panels, the wind turbines, means little in our fight against climate change. And what I'm afraid of is that if we are not careful, this may cause even more problems. Based on the current forecast of growth rates of EV and renewable energy tech, we will need in the next 20 years, we will need as much metals and minerals that we've mined and processed throughout the history of humanity, right? So the impact is huge. And I know I'm preaching the choir here, but at this point, we can safely say that the mining industry is an integral part of our transition for a clean future. But The question is still valid though. If knowing what we know about how the mining is operating still, just mining, the hauling and the exploitation is responsible for 4 to 7% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. If mining isn't clean, can we really call renewable energy clean? And the answer is no, we can't, right? The mining has to become greener and has to become more sustainable. Otherwise, it's just pushing the problem down the road. In this case, it's upstream. Now, I believe that the only way that we're going to make sustainable mining a reality, or mining cleaner, it will be through a cultural transformation in and outside of the industry. I call this the sustainability culture, which needs to extend from the miners to producers all the way to consumers. The reason I say the word culture is because I want to move beyond statistics. I want to create a deeper bond, a care factor within the industry, but also with its end users, its consumers, its customers. So I'm going to use the next 20 minutes or so talking about the sustainability culture and how we can implement this culture within the industry. I'd like to draw a parallel to a transformation around the safety culture that was built in the industry a couple decades ago. And I think that we can use the similar recipe, same recipe around sustainability. And this happens to be also one of the most inspirational leadership stories in the industry, in my opinion. In 1987, and this is coming from the book, The Power of Habit, I put the picture there, great book. There's one chapter dedicated to this story. Great reading material too. In 1987, Paul O'Neill became the CEO of Alcoa, which is the American's largest aluminum producer. At his first press conference, we expect the usual from the new guy, right? The CEO will come up and he'll talk about the productivity, stock price, and he'll share his vision on how to increase his metrics. But that's not what happened, though. Mr. O'Neill took the stage and he talked about one thing and one thing only. He talked about workplace safety. He said, and I quote, "Every year, numerous Alcoa workers are injured so badly that they miss a day of work. I intend to make Alcoa the safest company in America. I intend to go for 0 injuries." Audience a bit confused. A couple journalists raised their hand and they asked questions about the capital ratios, inventory levels. But Mr. O'Neill wasn't interested. He said, "I'm not certain you heard me. If you want to understand how Alcoa is doing, you have to look at our safety figures." Now, this was a total shock to Wall Street. Like, what was happening? Who is this guy? He's going to ruin the company, right? Paul O'Neill had a plan. He knew he had to transform the company and make the production processes more efficient. And of course, at lower cost. But he also knew that he needed his employees to lead this transformation, and something about a stock price or a cash flow wouldn't be enough to rally his people, especially the frontline workers. He had to create a journey with a strong purpose, and the purpose in this case was safety. Now, this would a worthy cause for his people to get excited about, because it was the right thing to fight for. Paul O'Neill's focus, his fight for safety, didn't just turn around accident rates. It made the whole company better. Since focusing on worker safety meant studying the production processes in detail, the improvements also made things run more efficiently. Now, this wasn't an overnight transformation. It took him several years, but Paul O'Neill raised the bar on safety while improving profits at the same time. Now, I'm confident that we can use a similar approach, a similar positive momentum in mining around sustainability, especially if you consider that our goal now will be to meet our needs today without compromising the ability of our children and grandchildren to meet their own needs. I think that's hell of a purpose, no? And a great source of motivation. But just like in safety, we have to break down what this means. Still, the concept is very high level, and everyone has a different meaning on how to achieve this. We have to break this into more tangible, more measurable goals. The solution that I propose is a three-step process that I talk about in my book, The Mining is the Future. It's a short book, 100-page-ish. I talk about this three-step process to make mining more sustainable. I call this framework AIM. A for awareness, I for investment, and M for mindset. So far, so good. I wish I could see your face, but I'll take the silence for a thumbs up. All right. Sustainability starts with awareness, right? Among other things. And it has everything to do with the public's perception of the field. Because without the support and understanding of a well-informed public, a fundamental change is just not possible. Otherwise, we'll continue to see protests or lack of young professionals wanting to join the industry. Now, in the last couple of years, I've been working on raising awareness around the metals and minerals in our products. Again, with the goal to close this gap between mining and the general public, right? TED Talk was all about that. Let's close this gap. Let's bring this information available. But it is so much harder than it looks, because as it stands right now, we have to go out of our way to learn about the metals and minerals in our lives. You probably heard the talk, did you know that an iPhone has over 20 different metals in it? And I'm still getting the reaction, oh, really? Well, yes. Now, well, what if, and this is kind of, I start dreaming here, what if this information about metals and minerals was more available and easily accessible? And I give the example of the nutrition label on our food, ingredient list. What if we scan a QR code on our products and it shows us the journey of this product? What metals were used in this example of my Pepsi can? It would be aluminum, right? Let's say I scan the QR code and I see how bauxite was mined. Where was it mined? How was it transformed into alumina? Then aluminum, then manufactured into this can, this final product. And what was its carbon footprint throughout this process? Basically, it's journey from the mine all the way to us. Now, I believe this would help raise awareness and close the gap between mining and the consumers. Is it possible? Is it even possible? Can we do that? Or did I just come up with that? The answer is yes, thanks to blockchain technology, and I'm not talking about the cryptocurrency here. The technology exists. Some companies already start to use this technology. One initiative, one project that getting good traction is a project called START from Rio Tinto. I believe, I know that their focus with this is aluminum. So in the example of my Pepsi can, this could be a reality. Literally, you scan a QR code, then you see how was it mined, how was it processed, what was its carbon footprint throughout the process. So the technology is there, and there's a couple other options out there. The World Economic Forum also come up with a carbon tracking platform along with Anglo American, Glencore, Tata Steel, etc. So technology is there, or it's getting there. On the flip side of this amazing progress, the pushback that I'm hearing is the fear of transparency, the fear of vulnerability, the fear of making our value chain, showing our hands, and potentially losing our competitive advantage. To this, I got a quote Ben Franklin right after he signed the Declaration of Independence in US. He said, "We must hang together or surely we shall hang separately." In this fight against climate change, I think we all need to push faster together or we'll just get close to the point of no return. But going back to the awareness piece, my message is, let's be that catalyst. Let's start asking what metals, minerals are used in the products that we buy. Unfortunately, still, this information is not accessible and easily available. But it will only happen if we get this conversation. As a result, the chain of information will make it all the way to us. Then we can make informed decisions on our purchases. Just like comparing the sugar content from one soft drink to another, we'll choose brand that uses low emission mining products. And I believe that once we have this visibility, it will close the gap between mining and the industry, but it will also force the mining companies to behave differently. Now, the awareness is an important part of the battle, no question. But it would be wishful thinking that if just raising consumer awareness will be enough to transform the industry and implement the sustainability culture. Which brings me to my two other points, investment and the mindset shift. In 2021, ICMM, International Council on Mining Metals, basically it's a 27 largest mining companies in the world. They came up around June, I believe, 2021, and they made a commitment. They promised that mining will reduce its greenhouse gas emission and achieve net zero by 2050. 2 thumbs up, right? That's amazing. And the focus is on right now on the scope 1 and scope 2 emissions, basically, the direct emissions from their whole trucks, engines, etc. And scope 2 is more indirect, associated with the on-site electricity purchases. This is a good news. I was happy to hear that 2 years ago, finally the miners agreed on a common goal with a clear deadline. I got a couple concerns with this. As much as happy I am, one of my concerns is the year 2050. Guys, that's 27 years from now. Most of the executives who committed to this plan will be retired by then, or worse. So the accountability piece, it could fall apart. And second, there is still no clear game plan yet on how to reduce the scope 3 emissions, which are basically the customers of the mining companies, the steel producers and manufacturers. Now, don't get me wrong, I think this is a great first step in the right direction. As a mining community, we take a good first step in the right direction. A little slow, in my opinion, and there's a big accountability burden placed on the next generation. I mean, come on, let's call a spade here, right? It will be the millennials, which I am, and the younger professionals, the Gen Zs, who's going to make this happen, right? 2050. In parallel to this pledge to net zero, I also see a big push on topics such as ESG, decarbonization, which is great, right? In social media, in the conferences, we really see that business has adopted this language, which is awesome. But now my question around the mindset, especially around the mindset, what about the frontline workers? I know that your VP and CEO are all about the ESG and decarbonization and all that good stuff. What about your frontline supervisors? What about your frontline workers, operators, maintainers, engineers? Are they engaged in this fight? I'm gonna share a personal story on this. To answer that question, I gotta share a personal story. For a good part of last 10 years, I've been in production roles. I also had a chance to work as a frontline supervisor in the maintenance team. As I'm a mechanical engineer, usually we start in the maintenance department. I work as a maintenance supervisor, and for those who may not know, basically our main responsibility is to make sure that equipment is available for production purposes, right? Because in production, we say every minute lost is lost forever, so you better keep producing. So as a maintenance guy, sometimes we'd have an oil spill on a haul truck or on a diesel generator. My first instinct, and I say my team's first instinct, was always fix the machine and put it back in operation as soon as possible. What about the oil spill? Well, we'll just clean it quickly because I don't want to deal with the environmental team. Otherwise, they're going to ask me to dig a hole so we don't contaminate the soil. And probably they're going to ask me to do a root cause analysis so it doesn't happen again. Which is the right thing to do, right? This is the right thing to do. But I spent a good part of my early career fighting against the environmental team because I didn't understand. I felt they did not understand the production requirements. And the sad part of this story is this didn't happen in the 70s or 80s. This was just a few years ago. Now, I also work for companies who are a lot more stringent about the environmental incidents. But this scenario, workers are going through this scenario at various levels out there still. What I'm saying is, without engaging our frontline workers, without getting their commitment, it's just not possible to achieve sustainability in mining, no matter what's being said in a corporate presentation. And one of my biggest struggles right now is we train these people on safety, we train them on cybersecurity, we train them on all that great stuff, but still for the sustainability or the tools around sustainability, circular economy, what ESG means, how does it impact our life, they still have to go out there and get external courses. We still don't train our people on these topics. But in a corporate presentation, we are all about decarbonization, we are all about sustainability. And training these people, training our workers, not just to appease shareholders or not just to get the permit to operate, but as part of our diligence for ourselves and our children. Now, I don't know, if you think this is a pipe dream, maybe I'm more optimistic than you. I do coach a lot of young professionals coming right out of school. They happen to be Gen Zs now. That's what I think that's the title now. And no matter what's being written and said, more and more, I work with young professionals who care about the environment, who care about the society, and I find they have the heart in the right place. So for me, the sustainability culture is not a matter of if, it's just a matter of time. Usually, I finish my talk about how awesome mining is, mining rocks, and come join the industry. I'm gonna do something different tonight with you guys. I want to leave with a couple questions that I'm struggling to answer, that I'm being seeing in the last couple of years, and I still don't have an answer. And I would like to maybe brainstorm together on how we can address some of these issues. And let's consider this as a part of my conclusion. Traveling Africa quite a bit in the last 2 years, I go in the mining companies for different reasons, again, around operational excellence, and there's a big focus on how we can increase our production. in one of the workshops I was leading, it was a brainstorming session. The goal was to increase production, of course. Just before I started, I did the introduction. One of the workers, locals, raised his hand, said, Alp, so if we can increase production by 10%, does it mean that life of the mine will reduce by 10%? I wasn't prepared to answer that question because I go there with different perspective. As a local, he has other concerns. He's thinking about, well, if this lasts 15 years versus 20 years, I may have to find another job for my retirement. My question for you guys is, how do we deal with the end of the life of a mine? Once, especially in a remote location, I have seen this in the northern Canada as well. Once the mining is going on strong, we are all about community. We are all about teaching locals, showing them the new ways of doing things. We train them on the job, etc. But once the mine is over, how can we still fight for sustainability? How can we still push for sustainable development in the region? I've been thinking about it. I don't have a proper answer for you guys here, but again, Jess told me that this is an audience mining gang here. So I thought that, why don't we talk about this together? Anyway, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I would love to hear your questions. And yeah, that's pretty much it.